Thank you for watching Afternoon Live. According to the CDC, about 1 in 31 children in the United States are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. And our next guest has been working to help these children for over 30 years. We welcome back clinician, brain researcher, and author of Autism, The Scientific Truth, Dr. Robert Melillo. Hello, Dr. Melillo. Thank you for joining us for this important topic.
Hi, Carrie. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Well, we're hearing so much more about autism in the news, especially lately. Is it true that the rates are really increasing, or are we just better at diagnosing it?
No, it's definitely increasing. If you look at the research, and really I looked at this when I wrote my book, I studied it pretty well. About 50% of the increase might be attributed to improved recognition, early awareness, and clustering and some other factors. But at least 50% of the increase is not due to any of those things. So therefore, we assume that that means that there's actually more people. There's actually an increased rate of those people that are actually diagnosed with it.
And it looks like 4 times as many boys are diagnosed as girls. Why is that?
Yeah. Well, there's a number of different factors to that. One of the things and one of the key questions to this, Carrie, is really what is actually happening in the brain? What is autism? Because unless you understand that, you really can't understand causation. You really can't also understand best treatment practices. But what our research has shown is that essentially there's this developmental delay, a maturational delay, an imbalance, especially between the hemispheres, especially on the right side, that actually is at the root of autism. And we know that boys and males really develop slower to begin with, that their maturational length is longer, that there's also other factors that make a male more susceptible in the womb and early in the environment. And we also know that males are a little bit more right brain dependent. So there's a number of different factors, but it definitely has a real impact on males more than females.
And when we talk about autism, you talk about the spectrum. Can you go into a little more in detail about what the spectrum means?
Yeah, for me, I think it's really the level of imbalance. For me, studying this for a long time and working with many people, and especially we work mostly with the non-speaking area, and we're able to get them to communicate in ways that really they haven't been able. They can't speak. They may not be able to type or write or point easily. When they communicate, what we understand is that they're all brilliant. I mean, all of them are like genius level skills, and especially their left brain skills are very, very advanced. And what we see is that there's this imbalance between networks in the brain. The more severe the imbalance, the more severe the symptoms that they may have, and the more of a disability they may have. And the ultimate is really where they can't communicate, they can't speak. And they may be stimming and have severe OCD and anxiety and inflammation. So I think it's really just the degree of the imbalance. They're all brilliant when they're on a higher end of it. They may be brilliant individuals that are out there and functioning in the world and are incredibly intelligent. But at the real extreme levels of the imbalance, it really can affect their ability to speak and move and do some basic things.
Well, we used to hear about Asperger's versus autism, and now it seems like things are moving into autism disorder, the spectrum. Is Asperger's not a concern anymore?
No, I think they just changed the name of it for reasons that were not really clinical, but more had to do more with perception. There was some question whether Asperger's was actually a Nazi collaborator. And so therefore they just dropped the name. But most people in the field still recognize that there are people that have Asperger's-like features where they're very verbal and they're very intelligent. And they may be, have a little bit of social awkwardness, or they may have a little bit of OCD or hyperactivity, but they're very high functioning, very brilliant individuals. And that is one end of what we look at as the spectrum.
Okay, and what are some early signs that parents should be looking for before we wrap this up?
For me, the earliest sign is looking at those early motor milestones. A lot of my work revolves around what we call retained primitive reflexes. And The human brain is unique in that most of our brain development happens outside the womb. So anything that deviates from normal development, especially in that first year, is really a big red flag, and we can start to intervene early. We just came out with a major paper in a pediatric journal talking about looking at identifying retained primitive reflexes as an early biomarker of neurodevelopmental disorders. But really hitting those milestones. I mean, a child right around 12 months should walk, they should talk a few words, they should point and have good eye contact. All those things should happen. And if they're not, then I would really start paying attention and try to find somebody that actually may know what that may mean and what to do about it.
Well, there is so much to learn. We don't even have time to scratch the surface, and your book is such a great place for people to begin. Autism, The Scientific Truth is your book, and I appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we'll have more information on our website at katu.com, and we'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.